Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Tonight is Thanksgiving night. Yeah. And so today at lunch here in the United States, we had a Thanksgiving lunch. I had turkey, three different versions of turkey. So it's a very good lunch. Thank you very much. Here in the U.S. is a time for us to bond. So it's important to take time out, no matter how hard you work, you still want to bond with the people you care for. So it's nice to see a lot of people coming to the temple today and share lunch with us. Really appreciate it. And also, I think it's important to understand that the spirit of Thanksgiving is also the spirit of Buddhism. That is, we are grateful. The more wisdom you have, in particular, I noticed my disciples who are enlightened, they naturally all become more and more grateful. They understand gratitude. The more advanced they naturally become more grateful. So I'm very proud of that. This is so important. This is why we practice. We practice so that we become a better person. We can do things better. We work faster. We work better. We are more constructive. Our relationship, our family and loved ones and friends improve tremendously. So that's important. But also, if you have wisdom and you really understand gratitude, then you naturally want to dedicate your life and your work to adding, to contributing instead of destroying. Because the destructive habit, whether it's slandering others, whether it's harming others, whether it's suppressing others, whether it's hurting others, repressing others, and all those things, is connected with the work of the demons and the evil people. That's what they do. And if you have wisdom, we practice Mahayana to have wisdom. Yes, we have our bad habits. We lose our temper, and we can't control ourselves because we're pretty sick. We are pretty manic. And we lose control of our temper, of our sanity. That's understandable. But what I'm talking about is your core. Your core is a core of goodness, the core of wishing to do good, to contribute, and that's how you show gratitude. Okay? And if you have that as a core, as a general philosophy of your life, then the more you practice, the better you become, and the more you contribute to whatever you do. Okay, that's important to us. That's all that matters to me. I don't condone. It doesn't matter what others do, whether they harm us or they try to hurt us and so forth. It doesn't matter. What we do is, if you have wisdom and you have samadhi, you're strong enough. You survive. It's nothing to worry about. You get hurt, you recover. Just like we want to train you in Chan, you endure a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, take a lot of losses, and you recover anyway, and you become better because you do that. So that's why part of life as well. This Chan training extends beyond just the temple, but also to your house, to your work, to your communities, where we also are willing to endure suffering and take losses in order to benefit others and ourselves, naturally. If you have wisdom, then you understand that if your life is about benefiting others, you never lose, ever. Whereas ordinary people, all they can think of is seeking fame and profit for themselves. That's not a very healthy lifestyle. For example, recently Elon Musk bought Twitter, and he fired a lot of people. It shows that he doesn't care. He doesn't care for his employees at all. When you own something, it's your responsibility to take care of your people. And then he went on to say he's going to be disruptive and destroy the advertising relationships of the competitors, YouTube and Facebook and so forth. And to me, it's destructive behavior, okay? And it's not healthy at all, okay? That is, you don't, just because you have money, you have power, you can do as you please. As an ex-president of the United States, that's evil. You don't do that, okay? You practice Mahayana, open your wisdom in order to commit to doing good and to be constructive, to add more. When we do Buddhism ourselves, we don't mind if others criticize us or try to repress us or try to obstruct us. That's part of our cultivation. It doesn't bother us at all. They're disrespectful, they have no faith, they try to stop us. That's part of our cultivation. There's nothing new about that. Yeah. It has always been the case for me all this time here. There's nothing new at all. But you don't take that and resent it just because you're mean. They mean to you. You don't say, "What did I do to you? I don't have to take this." Okay, you swallow it and you take it like a man, and in return, instead of retaliating, you become more constructive. In Buddhism, for example, in our small corner of the world, what we try to do here is to enhance Buddhism, to bring more people to Buddhism, to serve the people that the current Buddhism is not serving. So we're adding. We're not destroying at all. There's no interest for me personally in destroying my peers or my rivalries or my competition in order to get ahead. To me, cultivation is to be constructive. And that's how we show gratitude in Mahayana. Okay? That's my Thanksgiving spiel for you tonight. Okay? And I'm grateful for you all to come so that I can share with you my thinking and my aspiration. Okay, in Buddhism, for example, for us, we don't mind if people criticize us, slander us. That's what has been the case for me personally, nonstop. Okay, but I'm never bitter. I've never been bitter. I never resented that. Okay, I just took it. For some reason, I simply took it. And now we're in a position where we can do more, we can add more. We don't punish them. We don't make them pay for the things. People can be themselves. We just serve the people. We bring the kind of Buddhism that is able to serve a lot more people than before. That's what we do. And I hope you have the same attitude. You practice our Dharma. You increase your samadhi level, you increase your wisdom, your health improves, and you become happier. Then you use it to share with your family, improve your family life, and improve your work life, and be more constructive. And that is a spirit. We're not expecting you in practicing this, become a millionaire, billionaire, the number one man in the world, president, secretary, or whatever. It's secretary of the party. It's whatever you do, it's constructive. And that's what cultivation is about. All right. Thank you. Let's continue to study Master YongHua's teachings.
talk. Master was on 221 or 20. I don't remember the exact number, but there was more explanations. Or should we just continue on from the lecture?
Where was I? So he built temple, and people came to cultivate with him. Building a temple is a lot more than just a building. We realize, especially in the spiritual pursuits, especially in Buddhism, especially in Mahayana, we realize that we build these places in order to protect you, okay? In order to give you guidance in your practice and support your practice. It's not simply a building, concrete building and for comfort, but it's a place for you where you can receive support and protection. This is not spoken enough, I feel, from a Chinese. That is, especially in my personal practice, I realized that before I was able to defend myself, I had to be protected. Okay, very much like we need to protect our children so that they're strong enough, so that they have a chance to learn to take care of themselves. It's the same thing. In Buddhism, it's the same thing. Until you are skilled enough, you need a lot of help. You need a lot of protection. That's the way it is. All right? And most people don't talk about it because they don't understand that process. For example, I met a lot of arhats in Hinayana and other disciplines or lower levels. I noticed that they don't understand the importance of that. That's why they struggle. Their students struggle a lot in their spiritual cultivation. All right, so everyone went there to cultivate with him because he gave them protection and gave them guidance, hopefully. And a lot of monks and nuns came to draw near him and to cultivate with him. It's not clear what his level here is, but apparently where there were a lot of monks and nuns who were cultivating on their own without making much progress. So they came and they heard of his reputation, especially the endorsement from the prior king. That's why they came to study with him. And he was teaching the principles of Chan and was well respected. Oh, good for him. That it was people respected his Chan practice. All right, are we there yet? Continue then, please. So he moved on. He heard other places. This guy here have this vow to propagate Buddhism to many, many countries. And so he wanted to make it available to a lot of people. So it's slightly different from our emphasis. My personal emphasis is that I want more of you to build your samadhi power in this very common rule of thumb. Okay, I'm very Americanized. You talk too much. What I try to do with you is that if you come and practice with us, that's try to see if you can surpass your teacher. And that's how we bring more to Buddhism, if you will. You can talk all you want, but if you your level will be higher in your masters, then I feel that Buddhism then has improved. Okay, so anyway, this guy is different. His emphasis is that he wanted to make people aware of Buddhism and practice meditation. And so you see, there's a difference in our approach versus the typical Buddhist propagation approach. That typically, people just want to build temples and make it available and have a lot of disciples. We, on the other hand, prefer to bring your level up, because all that matters to us is you. It's not the books, it's not the tapes, not the photos, not the temple. It's about your level of wisdom. Okay, and so that's why we're different. He's more interested in what's his name again? Dharma. He's more interested in having a lot of disciples, having a lot of Buddhist disciples. And there's plenty of monks and nuns are doing that. Whether you hear of the founders of, what's that Buddhist charity organization, real famous, real rich, what's that name again? That they have all kinds of things. Acupuncture, dentists, what's that? Tzuchi, yeah, in Taiwan, Tzuchi, okay. They do a lot of charity work, and that's wonderful. Or there are lots of monks and lots of sunims have a built reputation of supporting scholars and this research and studies of Buddhist principles at universities and so forth, or have a lot of disciples. For us, we focus more on the quality side, where we want to bring your wisdom level up by raising your samadhi level. Okay, and the more of you become enlightened, the better off Buddhism will be. And after this, at the end of this life here, we advocate you go to Amitabha Buddha and continue to practice there and become a Buddha quickly. Okay? So, but this guy here, he goes places to places to raise awareness of Buddhism. Continue, please.
新疆那儿又到了四川，从四川呢，又到这个荆州，荆州就是湖北。
He went from Xinjiang to Sichuan, and then went from Sichuan to Jingzhou. Jingzhou is in the area of Hubei province.
在荆州啊，他住在那个长沙寺，又造了一个大禅堂，啊，这个大禅堂可以住着1000人。
In Jingzhou, he lived in the city of Changsha and built a grand Chan hall. This grand Chan hall can accommodate 1,000 people.
Wow, he has a lot of money, doesn't he? To be able to support 1,000 people. Oh, big facility. Can you imagine when you try to teach Chan to 1,000 people, the hall there that contains 1,000 people? Back then, there's no speakers. How the heck did he speak Dharma to 1,000 people? I don't get it. Continue.
在这个地方，还有一种很灵感的事情，也就好像那个康僧会似的。什么灵感呢？
At this place, he had this supernatural experience, like that of Kong Sheng Hui. What was that?
Okay, there's a question from Kong.
Hello, Master. This is a question not directly related to this talk, but when you advise people who are not Buddhist, like for example Catholic, you taught people to recite, like for example Virgin Mary's name, and then in the past, one of your Dharma talk you mentioned about Mother Maria. When you say Mother Maria, are you referring to Virgin Mary, or is it a different person?
Yeah, the Virgin Mary.
Oh, I see. Because Mother Maria, I found in internet, it says it's somebody else. So, okay, thank you. So I was confused. Thank you.
All right, continue.
他在这个地方啊，听说过去康僧会啊，在孙权那个时代求舍利，得到舍利。
When he was there, he heard that in the past, Kang Seng Hui from Sun Quan's era asked Sharira and got Sharira.
他也带着一班的徒弟啊，在这儿设了一个法坛，请求啊佛的舍利。
So he led his disciples and built an altar here and asked for the Buddha's Sharira.
他这个没有经过3个礼拜的期间，就经过1个礼拜，就得到一颗舍利啊，就。
He did not have to wait for 3 weeks. It only took him 1 week to get 1 Sharira.
掉到那个坛里头啊，很大的声音，很大的声音，然后这个得到舍利，这个舍利就昼夜的放光。
It fell into the plate and made a loud noise, very loud sound. They got the Sharira, and the Sharira emitted light day and night.
所以当时他的门徒啊，和一般修道的出家在家人呢，这4众弟子啊，都特别发心。
So at that time, his disciples and ordinary left home and lay people who cultivated the way, i.e., the fourfold assembly, was all highly motivated.
觉得这是特别的灵锐，特别稀有的事情。
They too felt this was an extremely auspicious, extremely rare event.
那么大家都很虔诚的在那修行，当时有100多个人在那开悟。
So everybody was there cultivating sincerely. They were cultivating. At that time, over 100 people became enlightened there.
You see, back then, in order for them to propagate Buddhism, this Dharma also resorted to miracles, if you will, Buddhist miracles, by asking for shariras, Buddhist relics. And because they heard of similar other monks who also asked for shariras, prayed for shariras from the Buddha, and the shariras came. So he also prayed and asked for shariras, for relics. And after a week, he got 1 sharira. And I chuckle at that because our old monk here, the abbot of Dharma Treasury Temple, he has thousands of shariras. So that is to tell you that the level of blessings, the difference, the level of blessings between these people. He has 1 share, Master, the old monk has 1,000 shearers and so quickly, a lot more than most people that I know of, including myself. Yes, 8. And so that helps. That helps that he had sharir. So people said, wow, if this monk here asked for sharirs and the Buddha's acquiesced and respond to his request, he must be a special kind of monk. So they came and practiced with him. And many, apparently 100 people became enlightened there. And again, I feel that when Master Hsuan talked about enlightenment, he's probably talking about the fact that these people certified to first stage arhatship, because I doubt this guy's level is that high at all in our hierarchy. That why not? Why isn't a high level? Why not? Does the king travel by himself? Never. The king always travels with his entourage, his bodyguards, his harem, his ministers, right? This guy goes by himself, so you know he's not that important. Master Hsuan, if I look at Master Hsuan, for example, how many people were following him? Look at Shakyamuni Buddha. He had 1,000 constant companions. Master Hsuan has 100. This guy has 0. He has asked for 1 sharir. He asked for sharir, he got 1 sharir, and they're so happy. Okay? So anyways, I doubt that these people were this level of enlightenment is very high. Enlightened for Hinayana is first stage arhat, and because Master Hsuan didn't mention what he taught them, what the particular Dharma door they practice, that shows me that they don't really have a specialty in the Chan practice. And so they became first stage arhats, 100 people. Continue.
以后啊，他从这个荆州又向东啊走就到这个南京了。南京呢。
Later, he left Jingzhou and walked towards the east and arrived in Nanjing.
And I remember I talked to some Korean Sunims who went to Myanmar to learn meditation. And he came back and he says, I learned so much because my master at Myanmar certified me to become enlightened. I said, you think you're 4th stage arhat? He said, yeah, I'm a 4th stage arhat. I said, no, you are 1st stage arhat. Because your master is only 2nd stage arhat. He can't certify you if you're 4th stage arhat. So anyway, the reason that I feel that he left, with all due respect to his work and his aspirations, his profound aspiration, he left because he couldn't help those people anymore. Same thing with these Myanmar teachers. They couldn't help the Korean Sunims anymore. So he said, hey, you stick around here much longer, it's not going to be that much more. So you could leave now. You could descend the mountain now. And this particular Korean a monk walked around as if he's pretty cool. But so I feel that maybe this guy left and went around so much because he could really have not much more to offer his disciples. Continue.
他的方才到南京的时候呢，住在这个中兴寺。过了一个时期啊，就到这个齐桓寺去住去。
When he first arrived in Nanjing, he lived in Zhongxing Temple. After a while, he went to live in Qihuan Temple.
当时这位法秀禅师，他的声名所有中国的出家人都知道。
At that time, this Chan master Fa Xiu, his fame was known by all the left-home people in China.
And you see, there's a difference between a Buddhist teacher like him, Fa Xiu or Dharma Mitra, versus a teacher like Master YongHua. And these patriarchs, Master Xu, these patriarchs, they have the lineage, and therefore they have the technology, the training technology to pass on the knowledge to the students. And if they didn't, their job is to certify that the next generation is competent enough. So, for example, Master Xu, who's 8th round Bodhisattva, who's very sound, has led an exemplary life as a patriarch, as a monk, but at his level, he couldn't really train his pupils. I saw his pupil, I saw many of his pupils, and I saw that they are, famous, just like him. When they have seniority, they have way virtues, but they really did not receive direct training or guidance from Master Xu. So therefore, many of them were like to 6th round Bodhisattvas level. Okay, and so it's not atypical for these patriarchs to have to leave behind a lot of good students, but it turns out that's still not good enough, and therefore conditions were such that Master YongHua had to cultivate by himself, away from Xu Yun, because Master YongHua was under the protection and guidance of all the teachers. Okay, because he had important work to do. So again, you have these certification from the Mahayana lineage of patriarchs. That's very, very important. First is this Fa Xiu here, who basically has very lofty aspirations, but not enough skills to really make a huge difference. But back then in China, people practiced Buddhism, but they didn't quite have the Chan techniques. So when Fa Xiu went to China and shared his Chan knowledge, it was revolutionary. A lot of people came and learned from him. Okay, and that's how it was. Initially, the level of samadhi and attainment of the Chinese back then, before the Chinese patriarch came, before Bodhidharma came, they're pretty low. And the proof is that it's the same thing here in the United States. Before Master YongHua came, a lot of non-Chinese teachers or Chinese teacher came, Seung-san, Korean teachers, Japanese teachers and so forth. They came here and they taught Zen, they taught mantra, they taught Buddhism and so forth. Level was pretty low until Master YongHua came and he sets the standards. And his disciples are pretty high level, even higher than the ones back in his home country. So that's why it's very important. Now, you have here in the United States something called the Orthodox lineage of Patriarchs, and therefore they are certified to be quite high levels. Okay, so take advantage of it. And I'd like to point it out to you because the fact is that back then here, with Fa Xiu in China, there was no patriarch. The lineage of patriarchs was in India. Okay, so whatever teachers came were really low levels. And when Master YongHua when the Bodhidharma brought the Chan Dharma from India to China and transmitted it to Huike, the second patriarch, that's when the technology was conferred upon the Chinese. And the level of Huike is pretty high. Okay, it's very important to pass it on to that kind of level so that the Chan school is strong. I suspect the Huike's level is even higher in Xuyun because Huike is too important. Bodhidharma had to transfer that special knowledge to Huike so that he can has very strong roots, very strong, very powerful wisdom to help pass it on to the next generation. Because not all the patriarchs are able to do that. So I imagine Huike's role was to transfer that Chan technology to the third generation. So the early patriarchs in China, they may not have a lot of disciples, may not have a lot of support, but the level is pretty high. The level of samadhi is very, very high. Okay, at least at Huike's level. I don't know about the third patriarch. I haven't looked at his case yet. But looking at the interchange between Bodhidharma and Huike, I realize that Huike is pretty high. Okay, and so you understand the difference. Fundamentally, Bodhidharma had to transmit the mind-to-mind seal to someone who then certify very high levels of practice. That's the only way for China, for Chinese Buddhism to thrive and prosper, because you need the teacher to give you the seeds, help you plant the seeds. You didn't have that, okay? Buddhism cannot proliferate, cannot prosper at all. Okay? So here, Fa Xiu is good. It's for early years. That's why you see that, yes, he had a lot of people. He had to build temple. Emperors supported him and so forth. And 100 people became enlightened under him. But he really left nothing significant in terms of teachings. Because if the teaching is beneficial for the disciples, will be preserved. I remember one of Master YongHua's disciples, a monk, Taiwanese monk. He was there when I became a novice. He had like 3 or 4 years ahead of me. And he became fully ordained and was unhappy with the life in a city, 10,000 Buddhas and a kind of practice they have there. So he decided to go solo. He said, I'm going to practice my way because no one is guiding me here. Okay, so he went back to Taiwan. And his sister, the Taiwanese have a lot of blessing. The sister supported his practice. So she gave him a place to stay, gave him food, money, clothing, whatever he needed. So that's what happened to him. And in Taiwan, they build houses without much regard for the fire code. Okay, they like a build. There's no sprinkler system, for example, and they're next to each other. So if one house burns down, all the other houses also burn down. Okay, that's how it is. And so one time, the house caught on fire and burned down totally. Everything burned down except for Master YongHua's VCR, where he taught the Dharma. Fascinating. And I thought, what a miracle. But now I hear it, I understand. Okay, that is, what it's trying to tell you is that if the Dharma is beneficial to us, then the Dharma protectors will protect the Dharma itself. You understand? It's not the Master YongHua say, it's my VCR where I speak the Dharma, I protect it so it doesn't burn. What happened, in my opinion, is that the dragons and Eightfold Division who made the vow to support Master YongHua's Dharma said, this Dharma is important. We cannot, we would be failing our duties if we let it be burned. And the monk there was very sincere in his cultivation. He may not get along with his peers and disenchanted with the leadership and direction of his peers, but he wanted to cultivate, and he worshipped Master YongHua's Dharma, and that Dharma is beneficial. That's why they had to protect it. Does it make sense? The Dharma will survive long, will live long, if it's beneficial to living beings. Hey, Master YongHua's disciple, you have anything to say? No? It's a miracle. A VCR, the whole house burned, and the VCR is intact. It's not even damaged. Isn't it amazing? That's right there. Is a proof. Continue.
知道啊，这位法师是一个，这位禅师啊，是一个最有道德的禅师。
They all knew about this Dharma master. They all knew this Chan master was the most virtuous Chan master.
所以很多人呢都去亲近他，都和他在一起，修行，听他讲经说法。
So many people drew near him, cultivated with him, and attended his Dharma talks.
这个在中国那时候有这个魏啊，有晋啊，又有宋啊，都很多国家 都欢迎他去。
At that time in China, there were Wei, Jin, Song, and all. Many kingdoms welcomed him to go there.
他到这个南京了之后啊，就上至这皇帝，和这个皇后姓袁，袁皇后。
After he arrived in Nanjing from the emperor and empress, the empress' surname was Yuan, Empress Yuan.
还有这个太子、公主，都请他到宫里边去供养。
Along with the princes and princesses, they all invited him to the palaces for making offerings.
请他来给受三规五戒。
They all invited him over to take refuge and to receive the 5 precepts from him.
所以道他在当时这种佛法非常兴盛谁去看他的，去拜这个法师的人呢？
So, at his time, the Buddhism was very prosperous. Whoever wanted to visit him to pay respect to the Dharma master.
都要在这个1个礼拜以前呢，就报名make appointment 1个礼拜以前要appointment。
Needed to schedule an appointment 1 week in advance. Needed to make an appointment 1 week in advance.
不是1个礼拜以前去见不着他的。
If they didn't sign up 1 week in advance, they would not be able to meet him.
去1个礼拜以前到那都要排着这个名呢，还得要排到或者1个礼拜、2个礼拜、3个礼拜之后才可以。
Even with a week in advance, they would still need to queue up. The wait time could extend over 1 or 2 or 3 weeks later.
这个法师，当时也不是那么容易见到。
To be able to meet this Dharma master, so at that time it wasn't easy to meet him.
他在这个齐桓寺他翻译出来这个有这个禅经，又有禅法，禅法要经，又有这个。
When he was at Qihuan Temple, he translated the 5 doors of Chan Sutra, important usage Dharma.
普贤观，又有虚空藏观等等的。
The meditation on Universal Worthy Bodhisattva Sutra, the meditation on Akasagarbha Bodhisattva Sutra, etc.
他所注重的呢，就是参禅，他所教化人呢，也是用参禅。
His focus was on investigating Chan. His teaching, when he taught and transformed others, was also to guide them to investigate Chan.
所以，在这个几千里以外都写信呢，请教他。在当时，这个一般的人就叫他叫大禅师。
So people from several thousand miles away wrote to him for advice. Ordinary people call him Great Chan Master.
那么在这个当时有一个贵级的太守 他住在平昌那个地方，叫孟仪。
At that time, there was a prefect of Huiji who lived in Pingchang. His name was Meng Yi.
Okay, so just a commentary. So apparently he used to frequent the royalties. Lots of kings and queens know him, and they referred him to their peers, kings and queens. So he is a frequent guest at the royal palaces where he would receive vegetarian meal offerings and the 4 kinds of offerings and speak the Dharma for the kings and the queens and princesses and the officials. And that's a difference between him and the patriarchs. The patriarchs don't do that. Patriarchs are actually reluctant to go to royal palaces because you can imagine the kinds of Dharma that can you go to the royal palace and tell the mother of the emperor that you should cross your legs until you hurt like hell and cross some more, and tell the emperor that he should not eat too much and not should drink wine. I don't know how the emperor could receive the 5 precepts from the monk. Can you imagine an emperor receiving the 5 precepts and then he has a state dinner with his peers and they, of course, they have dancing, they have drinking. How are they going to do their work? What kind of 5 precepts did he transmit to them? I don't understand those types of precepts. I tell you that it's virtually impossible for emperors not to drink. Kings not to drink. So you see, my point is that if you want the emperors to be impressed by you, if you want celebrities to be impressed by you, your Dharma has to serve them. They don't need to serve you. So that's why the patriarchs of old, like the Bodhidharma and the 6th patriarch and so forth, they avoided going to the royal palaces. Only the lesser monks like Sheng Xiu would go and receive royal patronage, and they justify it as getting royal patronage so that you can have more people believe in Buddhism. So there's a difference between quantity versus quality. The great patriarchs would not step foot in the royal palaces. Yes, Apple 5.
If I stand Daniel. Master, based on you said patriarchs don't go to the royalty, but the Bodhidharma went to see the king when he got to China. So
Well, he's hungry. Well, so if you're hungry and the king wants to say, hey, let's eat, they say, okay, I eat with you. What's wrong with that? You think that just because Bodhidharma is enlightened, he says, I'm hungry, and the king invited me, and I should go hungry instead? What wisdom is there in that?
also I heard, rumor had it, I think Venerable Xu Yun was in pretty good relationship or knew the Chisi Taiho pretty well.
Yeah.
He had relationship with the royalty.
Yeah, he is escorting the emperor and the empress and the royal families and the noblemen to run away from the Japs when they invaded China. He was tagging along with them. That's my point too. He's not Bodhidharma level. He's not Master Hsuan level. That's why he was doing those things. Not all patriarchs are the same. They're patriarchs because they're supposed to do something. They're supposed to contribute something, but they don't necessarily are the same level. That's why Master Hsuan did not train under Xu Yun. Master Xu Yun was never good enough to train Master Hsuan. Similarly, the fifth patriarch was not good enough for the sixth patriarch to stay there. He's only there to work, to build blessings. But then as soon as he received the Dharma, he had to go away so that he could practice without the fifth patriarch's influence. Remember, what's wrong with fifth patriarch? Hey, Mama, what's wrong with fifth patriarch? He did something that I find is deplorable. You know what he did? I don't know you remember the Sixth Patriarch Sutra. It says, the fifth patriarch had this artist, royal artist, who came to do the mural on his temple. Remember that? What is mural about? The mural is about the life of the fifth patriarch. I said, why? Why do you have to tell people about your life? You're a patriarch. You're supposed to serve other people's lives, not tell others about your life. Does Master Hsuan ever leave anything behind? Says, I want you to know about my life, and I want to have murals, I want to have videos, I have documentaries about my life. It's never about his life. It's about his disciples' lives. You understand? There's a different standards for patriarchs too. Master Xu Yun, all due respect, did great things for Buddhism, for many monks and nuns, restored many temples, and made Buddhism have a great reputation of a kind of practice where you have virtuous monks and nuns practice. And he had tremendous spiritual power that even the Japanese were afraid of him. They didn't want to mess with him in order to protect the Chinese emperor and so forth. Okay, but if that's all, then Buddhism stops at his level. And that's why his successor had to practice separately. You cannot practice with him. He'll be obstructing. Does it make sense? Huh? You agree? So anyway, so you see, I want to point out to you that you look at the history of Buddhism. Yes, they have a lot of great personalities, great bodhisattvas, many wonderful bodhisattvas who came to our world and contributed to Indian Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, and now American Buddhism. But you can tell the difference between the various levels, there were various types of patriarchs. Okay? And the great ones, like the sixth patriarch, like Bodhidharma, you don't find them frequenting the royal palaces. What did Bodhidharma do? He sat facing a wall. and he had no support whatsoever. So he was such a barely scraping by. The Chinese heard of him, so they came and make offerings to him. So he says, "But this is not even my own temple. I'm behind. I'm have a small area behind a temple. But people came to make offerings to me, It doesn't look good for the abbot of the temple. So let's split it. I will split, whatever, I take whatever I need and give the rest to the temple. You see, he's scraping by. Never went to, I'm sorry, Apple, after the emperor is clear, he set the standard. I said, if I'm going to teach an emperor, okay, I would not be afraid to offend him. That's a standard, he said, in China. Don't you get it? He came to see, what's his name? You Chinese, you don't even remember his name? I'm not Chinese. I don't have to remember Chinese names. So what are you talking about?
Liang Wudi or something?
Yeah, Liang Wu Di.
The same guy that's the Liang Wang Baochan?
Yeah, Liang Wu Di. Okay, so the Emperor Liang, Emperor Wu, whatever. Come on, you Chinese people, you have to correct me. He saw the emperor, and what did he do? He says, I want to be blunt with you. You're an idiot. Okay? I'm not here to kowtow to you. So he sets the standards for the later patriarchs. If you're any good, they don't want to mess around with the emperor because the emperors are no good students. The emperor cannot directly learn from you. That's why you don't go to royal palaces. It's not a good use of your time. Yes, by number one.
I think, wasn't that the patriarch of Tentai Zhizhe Dashi, he was working with Liang Wudi also, right?
I don't like Chucha. Just because he works as emperor doesn't mean I like him.
But he's a patriarch.
So what? Xu Yun was a patriarch too. I don't like Xu Yun either. I don't like the fifth patriarch either. I have my own opinion. That's my point. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just to point out to you, I'm no patriarch, I'm an idiot. But I look at the difference of different types of patriarchs. I saw Bodhidharma coming to see Liang Wudi because the emperor says, I know you are a special monk. Come see me. If you say no, what's going to happen to you? He'll cut your head off. So he came to see the emperor, and he impressed the emperor enough. Then he said, don't you dare touch me, you hear? You're not good enough, so I don't bother teaching you because you're not good enough. But you don't want to touch me, boy. Because that emperor there, if you make him unhappy, he's perfectly capable of telling his people to cut your head off. 出去砍了. Huh? Okay? So you know that Bodhidharma would have not wasted his time. He did two things. He came there, I feel I'm not him, so it's just my stupid interpretation. He came there to impress on the emperor that he has a big mission from India. Okay? So he has to fulfill his mission. Okay? Number two, he conveyed it to the emperor. He says, you are the kind of good emperor for China. You sponsored a lot of monks and nuns and so forth. And I commend you. Okay? And that's great. I'm here to help you in that endeavor. Okay? Make Buddhism stronger for your country. Okay? I'm here. I'm on your side. Okay? However, you're not good enough for me to teach you. You should be learning from my disciples. You're too low. And that's very important. The standard I feel he set for the later patriarchs, later Chinese patriarchs. Okay? You don't need the emperor's patronage to transmit the Dharma. The Dharma is transmitted to your disciples. It's not transmitted by a temple. It's not transmitted by a sutra. He transmits his Dharma to Huike. That's it. The mind-to-mind transmission. That's it. No more. No temple, no Dharma instruments, no ceremonies. Just chant technology. Was there a sutra? No, he didn't have, any sutra. What is the sutra? His guy is translating. 5 doors of Chan Sutra, important usage Dharma. Chan is beyond words. You don't need no sutra to transmit Chan. And this is for babies. Meditation on Universal Way of Bodhisattva Sutra. Why? Meditation on Akasavagarbha Bodhisattva Sutra. Why? Does it help you become enlightened? I'm very Americanized. You do this, all these sutras. Have your disciples become enlightened doing this? Practicing this? Studying this? Meditation, Universal Bodhisattva Sutra. How does it help your students become enlightened? These are words. How do you make them enlightened? Why am I talking to you like that? Because if you dare talk like this to the American students, they're going to ask you such questions. Yes, 9.
Master, so a lot of people don't practice Chan in China anymore because that's what it seems like.
No, they do. In China, they still practice Chan in Wutai Mountain. Well, that's where the serious cultivators practice because they are shielded. Okay? It's a sacred area where it's still respected and protected. They still practice it there. Okay? It's a very important area. But the practice is not as advanced as here, that's all. There's a huge difference in the level of practice in China versus the US. We may not have the history, we may not have the support, we may not have the manpower, we may not have the number of disciples, okay? But what we have is quality. They have quantity, we have quality. Go forth.
Hello, Master. One comment and one question. So you said that Bodhidharma didn't leave anything, like no ceremony, no anything. But I saw he left the Shaolin Kung Fu or Kung Fu transmission. Is that right? That's one comment. Then there's a question that Master Hui, Master, you mentioned that he's a very important patriarch. He has like one writing, one book left. I wonder if that's something worth investigating, or have you? Do you have any comments for that?
What's the second question? I don't get it.
Master Huike have a writing left. I just wonder if, since he's an important patriarch that transmit the Chinese Chan, so I wonder if that book is worth investigating, or if Master has any comment for that book.
I still don't understand the question.
Is that sound?
Spit it out.
Spit out is, should we investigating Master Huike's teaching?
I have a hard time understanding her question. How can you go to work and you talk like that to your employees?
Okay. Well, I guess there's nothing to ask.
You have to be able to articulate your point very quickly, very precisely. If you want to move to the next level, that's what you need to do. You don't waste people's time. Yeah, you have a question over there?
Hello?
Yeah.
Her question was, the second patriarch has a book. Do you recommend to study that book? And I also have a question.
Is that what you said? You need someone to interpret your question for you? So is that what you do at work? You say, hey, come. Help me interpret my direction to my employees, my subordinates.
That is indeed my weakness. Thank you, Master, for teaching me.
What? I can't hear her at all. What is something wrong with our sound system or what?
I don't know. It could be a problem with the sound system.
She said it was indeed my weakness. Maybe Master could help.
Now I can't hear her.
Thank you, Apple. I hope you can hear that part.
Is this a conspiracy to make me feel like I'm losing my hearing or what? Huh? So I feel that Bodhidharma, great Master Bodhidharma, set a standard very high, very much like Master YongHua. He says, don't try to ingratiate yourself with the emperor. Okay? You patriarch. You cannot teach an emperor because the emperor is an idiot. And it's not a good use of your time. That's very important. It's very, very important standard. Okay? And so it tells you that then Bodhidharma transmitted his knowledge to Huike and went through 9 years to form Huike, help Huike build his foundation before he can transmit the Dharma to him. Can you imagine Bodhidharma choosing to train you every day for 9 years? Think about it. Sheng Guang started out as a fool himself. I'm a great monk. I can lecture in sutras, and the gods and goddesses will be so impressed and come and make offerings to me. And Bodhidharma says, yeah, gods and goddesses are impressed by you, but I'm not. Case in point, if you're so hot, how come you're dying? I thought Bodhidharma is more American than Chinese when you think about it. So, bottom line, you can't take care of yourself. You're so hot. How come you have no control over your own life? Then come and take it away from you just like that. And you special? I'm supposed to be impressed by you? So he spent 9 years not teaching Huike anything but the fact that he stuck around with Huike for 9 years. Huike's foundation is so fantastic that when the time came, Bodhidharma was able to transmit the sudden teaching to Huike. Remember, that's the beginning of sudden teaching, because it takes 9 years of preparation, and then, boom, one moment, it's transmitted. Just imagine if he were to stick around the royal palaces for 9 years. You think he would be able to find any recipient of his sudden teaching? My guess is no. Don't tell me your answer, okay? I don't want to hear your answer because you're going to play with my hearing problem again. The point here is that Bodhidharma is such a high standard for the patriarchs. And he taught Huike. Okay, he transmitted certain teaching to Huike, and Huike after that hit further to more about what happened the prior 9 years. And he said, oh, that's what Great Master Bodhidharma did to me. And it's very important for Bodhidharma to set that kind of precedent so that the original seed, the original foundation of Buddhism in China was totally solid. Similarly, Master Hsien had to do the same kind of thing. His foundation is so solid. That's what he did. But if the question is about Master Huike, his teaching, whatever he taught, is meant for the Chinese. It's not meant for us. It's Master Hsienhua's teaching that's meant for us, meant for the 20th century and 21st century. Not Huike's teaching. Huike's teaching is for the Chinese, totally for the Chinese. Different times, different kinds of people. So if you want to, you should first study Master Hsienhua's. And then once you master his teaching, you should become enlightened by learning Master Hsienhua's teachings. You should be able to be enlightened by studying and researching his teaching, because that's by design. Then You can expand it further by studying Master Huike's teaching. And I suspect that you'll find that it's not that useful to you because, as I said, it's geared towards the Chinese. And that's what, when I look back at this Dharma Mitra here or Fa Xiu here, he translated sutras. Okay, that shows you that he really has no Chan teaching his own. You have a great teacher in Master YongHua. Look back at what he did when he came to this country. Did he translate any Chan sutras? Okay, yeah. Because these things are not necessarily appropriate for the Americans or the Chinese for that matter. Meditation on Universal Worthy Bodhisattva Sutra. Universal Worthy Bodhisattva is not known for meditation. Okay? Meditation on Akasagarbha Bodhisattva Sutra. Why have to meditate on a bodhisattva? It's like dropping names, if you will. I study, I understand on Universal Worthy, I understand the emptiness bodhisattva. I understand the fundamentals of Chan. If you understand, your students should be enlightened. Don't just talk about it. Yes, 8.
From Vicky, Master, a thought crossed my mind. Do patriarchs come to their era equipped to teach? Their strengths play to the needs of their disciples of their time?
It's not that. The patriarchs has a problem. It doesn't matter how good they are. If they're limited by the kind of students they have. Okay, what happened to Bodhidharma is that he went to China and he couldn't speak the language very well. And he felt that the emperor is too corrupt. And to depend on the emperor would be to submit yourself to his caprices and his penchant for admiration and praises. And that's demeaning for a patriarch, to have to praise someone to get support for your work. So you have to leave. They're emperors for a reason. They're presidents for a reason. There's only so far they can go in their spiritual practice. Because their commitment is not to spirituality. The commitment is worldly. Okay, continue. Yeah, 7.
Mô Phật và Thầy. Cái ông Ngài Hòa Thượng Tiên Hóa đó, nói cái ông này ổng Tà Loan đó, là cái nhà bị đốt hết, mà cái kinh điển của Ngài đó không có đốt, là có những người hộ thần hộ cho những cái pháp của Ngài Hòa Thượng Tiên Hóa, là cái người này đó tu chắc không có giữ giới hoặc là phá giới, bởi vì Ngài mới bảo vệ cái kinh của Ngài thôi, chứ Ngài không có bảo vệ cái người mà xuất gia để tu mô Phật.
Emitofuo, Master Venerable Master Xuanhua, saying that this monk at home, he got his house all burned up, except for the sutra and VCD from Venerable Xuanhua that is not burned out. Is because of those Dharma protector from Venerable Xuanhua protecting the Dharma. Maybe because this person doesn't. When he cultivate, he break the precept. Therefore, Dharma protector don't come and protect him personally.
I think you're wrong. I feel that he could have been very comfortable at Master Xuanhua's temples. They're very well protected. They're protected. They have all sorts of amenities, plenty of clothing, plenty of food. If they needed anything, they'll be provided for. And yet he says, it's a waste of my time, waste of my life. So this guy has character. He says, this is not cultivation here. This is not cultivation according to my master. So I'm out of here. I go back and I get the minimal support from my family in order to practice my master's Dharma. That's the motivation for him to do that. I find it remarkable. At the time, they could easily later people in my level, they became promoted and they now they become important, they have their own temples within that group, okay, because they have seniority now. And he's one of the senior members. He could have got a temple in Taiwan, got a temple in the United States or whatever. He says, no, I'm out of here. You guys don't know what you're doing. I'm out of here. I'm building out so that I can practice my master's Dharma, not your Dharma. So he's very, very sincere, according to Master Xuanhua. Okay, like Master Xuanhua likes to mention the word sincere. So he's sincerely practicing the master's Dharma. And that particular Dharma he's practicing was useful to him. That's why they had to be protected. Why? To help him. What he needed was not a house. What he needed was not a temple. What did he need? Faith in his teacher's Dharma. That's all he needed. So they protected his teacher's Dharma to give him more faith in that particular Dharma. It's very subtle. He had no faith in whatever he practiced here in the U.S. We have faith in the original teaching in Chinese of Master Xuanhua's Dharma. How can you say that he broke precepts? I would disagree with you. I would beg to differ with you. I think it's about his faith. He had to be helped. He's sincere enough, and therefore the Dharma protectors of Master Hsuan's Dharma had to protect him, protect his faith. And I suspect that because of that, he's probably in the Arhat range now. Had he stayed on, I serious doubt he'll make it. Okay? So be careful. Don't jump to conclusions like that. You'll be in trouble. Yes, spy number 1.
Clarification. I think you were the one who told the story of the guy in Taiwan, the house being burned down. The story was not told by Master Hsuanhua, right?
I don't have to tell the same story as Master Hsuanhua. Is what you want me to do?
No, because Goryin said Master Hsuanhua told that story, that explanation. What she mentioned was your explanation. You told the story, your interpretation.
I don't know.
Never mind.
Yes, Ahong.
Master, I feel like it's not okay if she picking on Goryin because Goryin is trying her best.
I can't hear you.
Goryin is trying her best, trying to relate the message. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Master. I didn't mean to pick on Goryin. I'm just trying to clarify the understanding. I'm sorry if it's come out that I was picking on Goryin.
No one said you're picking on her, but he understands what she's talking about. I understand the same thing as he does. You don't understand her, that's all. She's, how old are you? 95? So she's entitled to be a little bit lung, a little bit, confused.
Ngô Phật, thầy giải thích ra ngõ gần hiểu rồi.
Master Hsuanhua's Dharma is very, very profound. And what you guys don't realize, you guys only see him leaving behind a lot of temples, a lot of followers, a lot of sutras, a lot of explanations. What you don't realize is what the real core of that is actually the faith in that Dharma. That's the most valuable part of what he left behind. That's why it has to be protected. It has to be increased. I'm helping increase your faith in his Dharma. We don't give a damn. I don't give a darn about their temples and about, whatever they do. But I need you to have faith in this Dharma. Because that's the foundation of American Buddhism. That's our foundation. Without that, we cannot build. Similarly, Bodhidharma had to spend 9 years building Huikers, Shen Guang's foundation. Shen Guang's foundation is all bad. It took 9 years to build it up. Because he had no choice. He only has one disciple who would follow him. If he had like many like you, he said, okay, which one now? Huh? Maybe I'll take 5 just in case 4 dies. 4 get run over by a bus, or got shot by some Walmart disenchanted employee. Okay, so what happened to Master Bodhidharma is fascinating because he only had one person who wanted to learn from him because the guy has no choice. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. You guys don't appreciate it. The Chinese don't appreciate it. It's such a beautiful, beautiful story of how the Dharma has to be transmitted from one country, one culture to the next. It needs that foundation. Yes, Seven.
Mô Phật và thầy nói con hiểu. Giống mà Dương Đỏ Đế thầy nói với ông Lục Tự Sư Đạt Ma đó, thầy nói là ông á, lại đây ông không biết làm gì, ông nói tới hạ giống hạ cái danh dự của ông đó, thì ông á, đi á, bước qua 3 bước ông cũng chặt đầu, cũng gớt cái đầu, mà bước lên 3 bước cũng ấy, bước xuống 3 bước thì ông cũng chết. Biết ông nghĩ làm sao? Ông đâu có giết tôi được đâu. Nói cái hồi nãy cái ông ngài Hòa Thượng Tiên Hóa nói cái ông sư này nè, thì con có hiểu một được kìa. Ông nói ông Dương Vợ Đế đó, ông bước qua 3 bước cũng chết, mà ông bước lui 3 bước cũng chết. Ông nói tôi đâu không có chết, ông đâu có giết tôi được đâu, giọt lên hương không, làm sao mà giết ông được.
Emitofuo Master, when you explain the related story from Liang Wuti, the Emperor Liang, and Bodhidharma, I understand that I think Bodhidharma trying to hạ danh dự, lower his reputation, lower the emperor reputation. So therefore the emperor telling him, if you walk 3 steps forward, backward, or up or down, I will kill you. But Bodhidharma say, no, you cannot do that to me. You cannot kill me. So Bodhidharma fly over. And that's how I understand the story. And I understand the story related from Venerable YongHua with his disciple as well.
Yeah. What you guys don't appreciate is that Bodhidharma had to spend 9 years teaching Huike, training Huike without saying a single word. That's fascinating to me. And then when Huike is ready, that's quintessential sudden teaching. And then Bodhidharma says, I'm done. I'm out of here. It's incredible teaching. That's why I'm telling you. I don't know Huike's level, but I know whatever Bodhidharma transmitted to Great Master Huike is incredible. Because Bodhidharma's standards are so high. He would have not been satisfied with simply teaching, let's say, to a level of Xu or fifth Patriarch and so forth. Because the Dharma would have died. Like fifth Patriarch's Dharma died. But whatever Bodhidharma transmitted to Huike, okay, it's not necessarily a poem that Huike wrote, okay? It's not that important. But whatever he transmitted lived until Master Shenhua's era. And that's the work of the Bodhisattva, the Mahasattvas. And that's how the sudden teaching was transmitted to China. It took 9 years to prepare for it, for a superior individual like Shen Guang, like Huike. Fascinating to me. And here, Master YongHua here is in slide 253, where he's teaching, he's telling these stories about these monks, Indian monks going to China to transmit the thing. And the lesson I'm getting here is not so much that he taught 100 people became enlightened, whatever enlightenment level it is. It's just the fact that the lesson here to me is what? Chan is a core of the transmission. This monk came to China, excuse me, in order to transmit Chan. And then, so they taught the level of Chan that maybe this guy is probably another heart or lower, maybe like second, third stage, not even fourth. Yeah. But that's important for them to plant the seeds for the Chinese to believe in Chan, so that in the future they be ready for Bodhidharma. It's 9 o'clock. Shall we stop here tonight? Two more slides. So several thousand miles away would write to him for advice. Ordinary people call him Great Chan Master. Okay, it's because of the sponsorship from the emperors and the queens and the kings and the officials. That's why he became very famous. Okay, yeah. And again, he's famous because they find it useful for them. And they wrote to him for advice, okay? And now the story turns. Yes, 5.
I have a quick question. So how did the Buddhists back in the day were able to transmit the teachings to the kings and queens even if they were not able to listen to their message? How can they able to transmit truthfully, but they just didn't do it?
Well, you know, Daniel, I don't know about you people, but for the Chinese, I imagine the Chinese emperors would have interpreters. Wouldn't you think? The emperors, they can have any kind of interpreters they want. They interpret from Sanskrit into Chinese at the drop of a hat. The emperors would have translators on call 24 hours a day, 24/7, if you will. Okay, so I don't think it's a problem. The problem for Great Master Bodhidharma is that this guy here expects Bodhidharma to kiss up to him, to be impressed by him. And Bodhidharma says, if you want to learn from me, okay, I'm not going to be impressed by you because you're stupid. That's why I cannot be impressed by you. But I can't call you stupid, can I? So I'm not going to waste my time with you. They say, go Huiker, you're an idiot. What should I teach you? Right? For 9 years, every day he said, you're an idiot. What should I teach you? Can't say that to an emperor. It's a standard. He sets a standard. He says, okay, emperors, I don't dare call them idiot, okay, because they will cut your head off. Don't do that, okay? That's a message to us. Don't offend these people, because I had to run away from them. But what is not written in the annals of the Chan folklore, Chinese Chan folklore, is that, basically every day, you remember Shen Guang is full himself. He says, I'm terrific lecturer of the Dharma. I'm recognized by the people as well, by the gods. Okay? I'm that good. And he spent 9 years basically destroying that ego. And you don't destroy the ego by saying, oh, you're so wonderful. So for 9 years, even without having to say anything, he made sure that Huike under no circumstances would dare think that Huike is special, Shen Guang is special. Basically for 9 years, Bodhidharma in his behavior, I imagine, says, you're an idiot, why do you do that? So he's destroyed Shen Guang's or Huike's, the second patriarch, the future second patriarch's ego. It took 9 years to do that. Because Shen Guang is full of himself. And so that's why great Master Bodhidharma did something. Oh, they're having a party there in Korea. I see that. God, they can't wait for me to finish my Dharma talk. I feel so insulted. I'm not appreciated. They are doing kimchi over there. But the point is that to me it's interesting that Master Bodhidharma, great Master Bodhidharma, okay, didn't have to explain a lot of things to Shen Guang, since he had to spend the time reminding Shen Guang that he was an idiot. You cannot teach people by saying, you're special, Mama, you're so special. You have to say, Mama, you're so stupid. Understand? And that's why you cannot teach gods, emperors and empresses or CEOs and VPs and so forth, because they cannot be abused. Shen Guang is not even an emperor, and it took him 9 years to abuse him until he's ready to be taught. Yes, sir.
Master, as an emperor, would that be an externalist? Would you use that word?
No, he's Buddhist. He's Buddhist. But what happened is the emperor was full of himself. He says, I'm special. You owe me. So had Bodhidharma stay on and receive patronage from the emperor, okay, then his followers, Huike, second patriarch, would also think it's okay. And then Huike would say, I got here today because of the emperor. Now I owe the emperor. I have to give him special consideration. I can't touch him. Then you're not doing the emperor any good. Okay? So it's beautiful how Master Bodhidharma handled the situation and taught, set the standards for the Chinese patriarch. That's so important. That, yes, we have a guy like a fifth patriarch who didn't really have to do anything important, so who cares? Okay? Because Master Huineng didn't need him at all. So the fifth patriarch is like an office holder. And say, okay, you're the fifth patriarch, and your only job, okay, the most important job you're going to have is to recognize your successor. That's all. It doesn't matter what you do. Go build your murals, go build your temples, go help your disciples. But the main thing is for you to continue the lineage of patriarchs. That's your main job, in my mind. That's his most important contribution. Okay, we stop here tonight. Thank you all. And because she needs to go, and they keep on reminding her. Okay, you're curious about the Korean thing. The Koreans now are doing the kimchi. Right there. Put it on the screen. Everyone, look at them. Okay, look at that. Okay? All women. And one man. Yes? You see? You see? and the way they do it, is that they're preparing kimchi for the entire winter. So they're going to make a lot of kimchi. Right? Huh? Booze? Huh. Thank you, ladies. Yeah. Okay, thank you, everyone.